24 hours after perhaps the most talked about worked shoot angle in wrestling history that saw Vince Russo making his TV return minutes before the scheduled Hogan vs. Jarrett title match, ending with Jarrett laying down and Russo coming back out to cut a wild shoot promo on Hogan and the state of WCW in an angle that created huge buzz in the inside audience and led to Booker T going over Jarrett to end the night, winning his first world title. Booker opened Nitro for his title win follow-up promo thanking the crowd for their support throughout his 8 years in the company working towards this moment, while sending a message to the locker room specifically to Bill Goldberg saying that he became a mark for himself and forgot who made him who he is, bringing out Stevie Ray to congratulate his brother before being attacked by Scott Steiner coming after the belt. With Russo, Hogan and Bischoff fall off the show tonight to continue to sell the angle, with Hogan's only public comments coming on a radio show after the event. The announcers didn't explain what happened last night but hyped the pay-per-view replay as the only way for the audience to watch it due to legal reasons, which again blurred the lines with work weeks later turning to shoot, as in the industry that saw everything in the last 4 years of the most competitive product the business has ever seen, with both companies going all out trying every type of angle and storyline. The Hogan-Russo-Bischoff Bash at the Beach swerve was done to perfection, to the point that even the most hardcore fan base was speculating on what was real, and more importantly was so well done that the actual participants worked themselves into a shoot, with Hogan in what ended up his final WCW appearance leaving the building and suing Russo and the company shortly after for the content of the promo in a defamation of character lawsuit, and Russo, who was scheduled to call Hogan on Monday to set up his return in a Hogan vs. Booker title feud, getting the word from WCW Turner supervisor Brad Siegel not to contact Hogan back as the company could no longer afford his contract signed during the peak of its business in mid-98. With Hogan having 2 more pay-per-view events, which includes big guarantees and bonus fees on his current deal which expires in mid-2002. Booker was set to defend the title for the first time to close the first hour in a match against Mike Awesome, with the majority of it placed in the final quarter of the unopposed hour to cross into 9 p.m., with Booker and Awesome going 8 minutes, with Booker going over to retain, as Booker, who was the creative committee unanimous choice to be the new champion, getting more positive signs on the show, with the match drawing a 3.6 rating, the highest rated quarter on the Nitro broadcast in 2 months since the peak of the Flair vs. Russo feud in May, with Nitro's first opposed quarter after the finish of the Booker-Awesome match going to a commercial break before returning with Cat in the ring to set up the main event, calling out and confronting Scott Steiner before setting up a 4-way #1 contender match for Booker's title with Steiner, Kanyon, Jarrett and Goldberg in less than an hour. With Shane McMahon returning last week alongside Chris Benoit heading into his first pay-per-view main event in the WWF against Rock, Shane and Benoit opened Raw with Shane in his new role as Benoit's mouthpiece, putting him over big to establish him as a headliner, with Benoit taking the microphone next calling out Rock for tonight, saying that if he beats him in a non-title match he gets the shot on the pay-per-view, bringing out Rock to accept the challenge and set up Rock vs. Benoit for the TV main event 13 days from Fully Loaded, with both Raw and Nitro after taking a hit last Monday due to the holidays coming a day before the 4th of July, rebounding to open closer to normal levels with a 4.6 to 2.4 rating margin. with Scott Hall's future in the company looks to be over after not making an appearance last night at Bash at the Beach despite being heavily pushed during the entire build-up to the headline match of Nash vs. Goldberg. Talks escalated during the week on Nash, who has 17 months left on his current WCW contract to potentially jump to the WWF after already having talks with Vince McMahon earlier in the year, reportedly targeting top programs against Rock and Triple H either as his current character or a last run as Diesel under McMahon. With Nash's contract, who is in the top 5 highest paid performers in the company, is not the only deal looking to enter its final year, with new WCW champion Booker's deal also set to expire in the second quarter of 2001, while the biggest contract in the company in Goldberg having over 2 years on his deal. With Russo and Bischoff not appearing on TV or commenting publicly on the situation, Hogan and Jarrett both did interviews in the past 24 hours, with Jarrett up until today still being worked by Russo into thinking that it was a shoot due to Hogan not wanting to put him over until Russo revealed the plan to him on Monday, saying that there might be more to the situation but if there's he doesn't know about it, while Hogan did the radio interview Monday morning saying that he originally agreed to Russo's plan until being told that there's no follow-up angles for him going forward, telling WCW that he would like to be released with legal letters already sent to the company and he would have been on Raw tonight if he contractually could, putting over Vince McMahon in response to claims that he's too old, saying that Vince is 55 and still one of the top performers in their business, bringing up again the possibility of a Hogan vs. McMahon match at WrestleMania talked about in the past 2 years, with Mick Foley off the show on a legitimate WWF promotional tour in Southeast Asia. The idea on the night was that Foley booked the matches in advance, including a Chris Jericho vs. Road Dogg match coming next, as Raw continued to climb throughout the first hour, with the Jericho Road Dogg match going 5 minutes to a 5.2 rating. Nitro had a commercial-heavy quarter to close its second hour just before the main event and dropped to a show low 1.8 rating, first having a Vampiro promo calling out Demon to lead to another tease for the return of Sting with someone under a mask taking out both, with the idea that Sting is back without having him on the show in person in a similar angle to the Goldberg monster truck, followed by the four-way entrances a few minutes from the top of the hour. While at the same time Raw had its biggest viewership jump of the first hour, picking up over 900,000 viewers for Undertaker's promo calling out Kurt Angle to the ring, bringing him out to set up their pay-per-view match at Fully Loaded, before also starting the build-up to the match with Angle gifting him a scooter to set up a chase with Taker throwing it off the stage, with the Taker-Angle segment in a quarter that also saw the first half of a three-way IC title match bumped Raw to a first-hour high 5.8 rating. Nitro's Goldberg-Steiner-Jarrett Canyon four-way main event crossed over into a 4-minute overrun, gaining over 900,000 viewers to a head-to-head peak 2.5 rating, ending up with Goldberg having the match won until the newly turned heel Steiner interfered to set up a Goldberg vs. Steiner pull-apart brawl in a program which was delayed by injuries and was targeted to happen for over a year, as Nitro rebounded from the record low levels of last week to a 2.6 rating overall, with Raw against the WCW four-way match having the finish of a Kane Rikishi Venis three-way IC title match, going 6 minutes in the first half of the top of the hour quarter while going unopposed from 10:05 p.m. to follow with Stephanie trying to call out Jericho into a DX trap to pick up to a 6.1 rating. With Raw's move to TNN now set for the end of September with ECW's show officially cancelled on the network, Paul Heyman's hopes of trying to negotiate a deal to replace Raw in its Monday night's timeslot on the USA Network, including bringing up the possibility of USA buying and financing the company, took a hit in the past week with USA announcing that Raw will be replaced by weekly airing of movies at 9 to 11 p.m. on Monday nights, leaving the company again without the exposure of a national TV show, with the final broadcast set for September 22, 3 days before the hyped debut of Raw, with all eyes from both WWF and WCW on the first night trading on the day of the switch, with WCW looking to put on a major show to potentially attract regular Raw viewers, while Raw, which will be backed by a huge marketing campaign of over $8 million all building and advertising the debut of Raw on TNN, will look to put on a loaded Raw show in one of its biggest events of the year. After averaging a 5.2 rating during the first opposed hour, Raw jumped big after 10 p.m. with the second hour drawing over 8.8 million viewers on the back of two big quarters entering the 7 rating range. First, midway through the hour between 10:30 to 10:45 in a quarter featuring a Trish vs. Lita street fight, followed by the impromptu Triple H vs. X-Pac match created in the last 20 minutes after problems in DX throughout the night, with Road Dogg leaving the building, going 3 minutes in a legit match before luring Jericho out to the ring to reveal the swerve, with all members of DX taking out Jericho in a post-match beatdown segment to build the Hunter vs. Jericho pay-per-view match, bumping Raw to a 7.2 rating. Minutes later, after 2 commercial breaks, Rock and Benoit came out at 10:56 p.m. for the main event. And after showing instant chemistry in the ring since their first match back in February, starting the match at rapid pace to create big anticipation for the pay-per-view headliner after their strong series of TV matches, going 5 minutes into the 6-minute overrun to bump Raw to a peak 7.4 rating with over 9.6 million viewers, continuing to build the heat for Benoit, with him again putting Rock in the crossface for several minutes, and Shane revealing a referee shirt and signaling for the bell for Benoit to go over in the non-title match 13 days to the fully loaded pay-per-view.